Osmond Saddler is the one who created the nemesis for Umbrella, and I can prove it. So in today's video, we're going to talk about Saddler, his history, and how he is related to the Umbrella and the creation of Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. So sit back and relax as we dive into the plot that Resident Evil didn't tell us about. And trust me, it's crazy that we missed this in the original. Osmond Saddler is one of the, and probably the last member of Saddler family, the leaders of Los Illuminatus. Los Illuminatus was notorious for using a type of parasite called Las Plagas to control his followers. They believed that every person on Earth needed to be cleansed by obtaining this parasite. Unfortunately, the victims of Las Plagas lost their ability to think straight and would follow their leaders blindly. They also became extremely violent, but the worst part of this group was their rituals, where they would sacrifice their members for their leaders. But in the Spanish Renaissance, a man named Gregorio Salazar put an end to this evil cult and killed most of his members. However, some of the cult's remaining members escaped to an isolated island nearby, where Osmond Saddler, the last member of the Saddler family and the leader of the new Los Illuminatus, built his lab to restore and improve Las Plagas. But here's the interesting part. It's unknown how Saddler was able to build his new, huge and expensive laboratory and undertake such an expensive operation. After all, his family didn't hold that much money and power to support such a project. So how did he afford all of this? Well, we have reasons to believe that all of these expensive equipments and researchers were provided by the Umbrella Corporation before their huge fall and Raccoon City incident. If you play Resident Evil 3, you must be familiar with Ne-Alpha, a parasite used to create our beloved Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. The Nemesis project begins in 1980. Umbrella USA was pioneering BOW development to supply products that were suitable for the US military. The deciding factor on this was the issue of intelligence. Simply, a powerful BOW with limited intelligence would be unreliable, and they managed to create the Chimera and Web Spinner, but unfortunately they failed. Each animal was only able to learn few basic commands from their trainers and so was insufficient. So they tried to make it better, to make it like Las Plagas. How did they know about Las Plagas? Well, from the Spanish folklore. You see, since the fall of Los Illuminatus, the people who witnessed that event made many stories about that event and how evil that cult was. And they used to proudly say those stories to young kids. And Umbrella heard of those stories and decided to make their own version of these parasites. And they named it the Nemesis Alpha, that in the game is referred to Ne-Alpha. But the problem was that this parasite would kill its host instantly, so they needed a test subject strong enough to handle that. So they first used that on Lisa Trevor. Lisa Trevor was an innocent child who was a guinea pig for Umbrella researchers. She was infected with all kinds of viruses from a young age, and her body was indestructible, so they injected her with that parasite. But Lisa Trevor's body was different, and her body affected so differently. It destroyed the parasite, but kept its DNA. So she got its powers without the parasite in her body, meaning the creation of the parasite was successful, but there was no parasite to extract from her body and use it in the future experiments. And I think this is where Osmond Saddler and Louis Serra will come into the story. My theory is that somehow Saddler and Umbrella found each other at some point in this era. In the original Resident Evil 4, this didn't make sense because of the timelines. In the original, Ramon Salazar became the Castellan and restored Las Plagas in the early 2000s, and that makes it impossible to relate it to Nemesis since he was created in 1998. But in the remake, they changed that, and they made the existence of Las Plagas way back before that time, and the evidence of that is Verdugo, who his birth dates back 9 years before whenever this note was written. So Saddler actually had time to help Umbrella with the creation of Nemesis Alpha, meaning he gave them a sample or maybe informations in exchange of researchers and a huge laboratory. And this will explain a lot. And I think this is why we see a lot of Umbrella equipment in his lab alongside a team who knows how to work with this parasite. and that's why Albert Wesker knows about the amber in the first place. Albert Wesker knows about the amber of Las Plagas because Saddler himself gave the amber to the European department of Umbrella, and they managed to create Nemesis using that. And since Nemesis got destroyed in Raccoon City, he had no choice but get the sample from one of the researchers named Louis Serra. And after the fall of Umbrella, Saddler was no longer bound to Umbrella, so he started to imprison the researchers and infect them with Las Plagas and kidnap the president's daughter to take control of the world. But he got stopped by Leon S. Kennedy with the help of Louis Serra, the former Umbrella researcher who was sent to work for Saddler by the orders of a Europe Umbrella department. And these are the reasons that I think Saddler helped Umbrella to create Nemesis Alpha. And I think we can look at this as a proof because it cannot get more clear than that. And we're probably going to see more information about it in the future remakes like Code Veronica or Resident Evil 1 remake. And if you want to know the full story of the Saddler family, watch this video where I explained the island history and its connection to the Saddler family. I'm Ashia and this is Redfield. Thank you guys for watching.